Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weisheit, licensed clinical social worker with Charitable Home Care. Very glad to be joining you and very glad you are joining us. As we always like to bring you pressing news, breaking news whenever we have it. One of the ways that we get to do that is with Captain Brendan Mathern, Public Information Officer. We appreciate that with the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having us, Keith. Always a pleasure.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much. I know we got a lot to go over today, some sad things, but really glad that you and your team are working so hard to keep everybody on the street safe and make sure that we get some of these people that really shouldn't be out and about picked up. Let's talk first maybe about this child molestation that y'all were able to find out about Jake Claymore.
Yeah, we have the arrest of 46-year-old Jake Claymore this past week. We learned we had opened an investigation after we learned that he had inappropriately touched two minors under the age of 13 years of age. And our juvenile detectives opened an investigation. And following that investigation, they were able to obtain warrants for his arrest. And they made contact with him on September 6th and made that arrest. Those charges included 2 counts of molestation of a juvenile under the age of 13 and 2 counts of indecent behavior with juvenile. So once again, in this particular alleged incident, we've made an arrest with 2 juvenile victims.
Right. And again, those 4 counts with those 2 victims. And again, his bail is set at $150,000. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, I know y'all will bring us more information as we go through this. I got to tell you, it's one of those things as a social worker where I'm just so very glad that we're finding ways to protect our children and being able to do that when we find out that these things happened or potentially happened, and being able to get him off the street and be able to stop that person from doing those things. Or again, everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but when we identify that those are some real incidents, being able to get them off the street.
I had a conversation yesterday, Keith, with someone and said, they said, I don't know how you guys do it, responding to all these calls and talking once we release the news about the next thing we're going to talk about. But don't know how you guys do it, responding. You have to deal with all this death. And honestly, these cases of child molestation sometimes are worse in many ways. Just reading the reports that our juvenile investigators, have to take and have to sit through, as well as the Child Advocacy Center and Shannon Grow there with the District Attorney's Office, the stories that they have to hear day in and day out, it definitely takes its toll, just like any other crime.
Yeah, it really does. But also knowing that you have those things in place. And I got to tell you, Lafourche Parish does it very well when it comes to having a team available to support these difficult situations. And that's appreciated on our end.
Oh, no question. Like we mentioned with Shannon, with the District Attorney's Office and the Child Advocacy Center, just flat out having a Child Advocacy Center, a place where children can go, give their statement one time. To where they do not have to tell it to the responding officer and then the detective and then the district attorney's office. The fact that our sheriff's office and district attorney's office work so well together, that's an anomaly. That doesn't happen everywhere. And so the fact that we can work so well together for the purpose of providing a safe place for victims, especially in this case, child victims, to only have to tell that story one time before trial, and even at trial, not having to repeat that in many cases, is certainly a great tribute to one of the services that we provide here in Lafourche Parish.
And a great pairing with Christine and everything that they do. Let's move forward, if you don't mind, to this missing Thibodeau man that we have some resolution to.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not the happy resolution that the public and as well as us all hope for. But Scott Chasson, a 60-year-old from Shoepick, had been missing for about a week. He was last seen cutting grass at his residence in Shoepick just a week ago on August 30th. And that was the last time his friends and family had seen him. They had reported him missing a couple days later. And as we continued to look for him through the weekend, and ultimately we did discover his body, unfortunately, on Wednesday afternoon, yesterday, in fact, to be certain, right around the Shoepick Water Tower. There has yet been, his death is still under investigation, but we have not yet found any evidence of foul play in this particular incident. So, Keith, this is just one of those stories. I think anytime you have a missing adult, that goes missing for, longer than 3 or 4 days, you certainly, unfortunately, tend to expect the worst, but hope for the best. And
Right.
this is just one of those situations where, searching in the wooded areas around the Shupik area, unfortunately, we just came across that gruesome discovery yesterday, and had to take that time to let his family know that was still holding out hope that he might be found. That we in fact had found him, but it wasn't a good outcome.
Yeah, and again, we want that outcome for anybody, but we also want to be able to find out if anybody finds anything out. We want to make sure that they can report that or give that information, and so they can anything about his death, as we always know, they can go to Crime Stoppers at 1-800-743 7433, or they can go online at Crime Stoppers BR, which is BayouRegion.org, or through the Bayou Tips app on mobile devices. And I know that we always want to get that. And so I know some closure for the family. Again, like you mentioned, it's not the outcome that we want, but hopefully we can get a little bit more information.
Well, absolutely. And as you'll see on your screen, we have some shoplifting suspects that we're investigating. And the way that these come about, obviously, you can tell from the picture that this happened at a Walmart Supercenter location, this particular one in the Matthews area. These two individuals are not necessarily wanted for shoplifting. They're wanted for questioning related to a shoplifting incident. And essentially what we're doing is, every time our patrol shifts end the shift, they pass on information to the next shift. And in many cases, those pass-ons emails contain photos of suspects that no one on that shift was able to identify, or photos of persons of interest. And so what we've decided to do as of, the last couple of months is, instead of just hoping that another officer can recognize these individuals, we're actually taking the initiative to share those images with the public and hope that we can get a positive ID. Now, in many cases, these are misdemeanor crimes, but it's still theft, and it's still, in this case, shoplifting. Whether it's a felony is just a matter of amount of dollars of the merchandise. So we still want to put an end to this. I know there's criticisms of the businesses, maybe not doing their job, but ultimately, whether you think these businesses are doing their jobs or not, these individuals are still committing a crime, and we're still going to go after those individuals for committing the crime. So again, these were people wanted for questioning in regards to a shoplifting case at Walmart recently in the Matthews area. We actually have more of those images that'll be coming out in the coming days. And if nothing else, Keith, we're hoping that by letting the public know that we're going to continue to do this, that hopefully people stop shoplifting and they understand that they're on camera at all times. We're going to get those images and we're going to share them with the public.
Right. We want to deter people in any way that we can. And one of those things is getting people, to stop shoplifting. But we also know that people who will shoplift very often may do other things, and so we want to prevent that from becoming something bigger. But we want to stop it and nip it in the bud, if you will.
Yeah, and please understand, it's not a matter of public shaming. In this case, it's individuals that we're just trying to identify for questioning. But with that said, certainly you probably don't want your picture up on social media of us trying to identify you if you steal something. So it has that added benefit for us, certainly. But hopefully people are making all the right reasons to not shoplift, but there's just one more.
Right, exactly. One of the other situations were these burglary suspects that we found in the Thibodeau area.
So this was a unique case, Keith, where our deputies, we would love to be able to respond to the scene of a call and immediately make contact with suspects. Obviously, that doesn't happen too often. In this case, it pretty much did. We responded to the area of Thoroughbred Drive in Thibodeau, and several deputies responded, and some were responding as well to a nearby street, California Street in Thibodeau, where they actually found persons fitting the description that had been caught on camera just a few minutes before. In fact, this was about 15 or 20 minutes after they were caught on camera. They were detained by our deputies. We ended up investigating several burglaries and attempted burglaries in that neighborhood. And ultimately, we're able to tie those individuals to the crimes based on those surveillance cameras and that footage. So it's very important. In this case, obviously, Shannon Thomas, 27 years old, and 2 juveniles, both teenagers, have been charged with 5 vehicle burglaries, 2 attempted burglaries, and other charges. But I think the important thing to take away from this is the attempted burglaries, Keith. So many times people think a burglary is any time that someone goes into your house, or in this case, your vehicle, and is with the intention of trying to steal something. An attempted burglary is not when they open the door and don't find anything to steal. And that's the misconception here. An attempted burglary can be simply lifting a door handle. If they're lifting that door handle in an attempt to open a car to try to steal something inside, that's attempted burglary, even if your car is locked, even if nothing has been stolen. So we want to encourage people to report those incidents. If you check your camera or you get an alert on that camera for your home surveillance system and you see that you had someone lifting up a door handle in your car, that's a crime. And we want you to report it to the sheriff's office.
Absolutely. We certainly want to be able to do that. Thank you for all 4 of these updates, which we appreciate very, very much. But we also know that Sheriff Craig Weber is going to be part of something with Christine Russell here. Some positive things happening in the community. So Aaron, put that up if you don't mind. So the Senior Sources is going to take place at the Rose Civic Center on September the 12th, 2023 from 11 to 1. And so really excited that law enforcement as well as the DA's office and several others are going to be involved there. Tell us a little bit about that event.
I've actually been to all of the Senior Sources events that the district attorney has put on. These events are just simply awesome for our senior members of our community. It is a one-stop shop, if you will, to get all the information that could be relevant to you. At the sheriff's office, we'll have our police social services, our elderly services deputy, Melissa Simmons, will be there along with Sheriff Weber and others to be able to simply explain what free services we offer and can provide for you, such as the Are You OK program, where we will actually call people, call elderly citizens and make sure they're okay. And it's an automated system. So that's just one of the examples of some of the things that you can learn about from all of the different public agencies that'll be attending this event.
Captain Brendan, we can't thank you enough for all the things that you and your team does, for all the work that's being done with Sheriff Craig Weber and with Christine Russell and their team. Thank you for joining us today and for giving us those updates.
All right. Thank you, Keith. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment of Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more to continue right here on Bayou Time on HTV.